Hi, I'm Jeff Baust. I teach in electronic production and design at Berklee College of Music, and I teach Pro Tools classes with Berklee Online. In this tutorial, we're going to look at parallel compression, which is a powerful technique to adding some weight and consistency to some of your sounds in a mix. Let's have a look at parallel compression here. In this movie, we're going to take a look at parallel compression and look at some of the ways you might try using it in some of your mixes. The idea with parallel compression is that you take a signal, you make a copy of the signal, and you heavily compress the copy and then gently blend it in underneath the original signal so that you can get a little more weight and consistency out of that signal. And this is something you could use on vocals, entire drum kits, acoustic guitars, so on and so forth. It's a fairly old and tried and true technique, and it's used in lots of different kinds of mixing. So let's have a look. I've got here a rock song, and just for starters, we'll just play it. Just, bass, drums, guitar, vocals. I'll play a few bars. It sounds like this.
You came home slamming doors, slinging things around. Heaven, won't you help me? What the hell's going down?
And so I'm getting started, getting some sounds together, getting some balances together, just right now preliminary stuff so that it's all workable. And I'm starting to think about, how parallel compression can fit into the mix. And I'm going to think about the vocal first. So here's the vocal, and we'll just give him a listen, just his opening phrase here.
You came home slamming doors, slinging things around.
So I want to add a little parallel compression to him. I got a send here going to a bus called Vox PC. And I've picked up Vox PC on an aux track here, and then I've inserted a couple of plugins. Let's start with the compressor. So this is the compressor I want to use for a parallel compression, and I'm going to just start with some good basic settings, maybe a ratio between, say, 5:1, 8:1, somewhere in there. Some folks go 10:1. Nice fast attack and nice long release, and so it's going to really clamp down on all the transients and just flatten the whole thing out. So that I can blend it in with the original. Let me just play a little bit of just the parallel compression signal. It sounds right now like this.
You came home slamming doors, slinging things around.
And you can see I'm aiming for around 10 to 15 dB of gain reduction. Again, that's a good number to aim for. Some folks might do more, but it's a good starting point. So from here, what I want to do is just blend it in underneath the original vocal and see if I can get a little more weight and a little more consistency for the vocal.
You came home slamming doors, slinging things around. Heaven, won't you help me? What the hell's going down? You came home slamming doors, slinging things around.
And it's a bit louder, but more importantly, a lot of the quieter details in the vocal, the ends of words and things like that, they come up a bit because we've squashed them and then turned them up. So in the context of the mix, it could feel something like this. And I'll just turn him up so he's a little bit exaggerated so we can be sure to hear him.
You came home slamming doors, slinging things around. Heaven, won't you help me? What the hell's going down? If you want to talk about it, I got the ears you need.
And like so, and he's a little loud, so I'll back off now, and I'd probably have this good bit lower, so it'd be a little more subtle, something like this.
You came home slamming doors, slinging things around. Heaven, won't you help me? What the hell's going down? If you want to talk.
Like so, and that'd be one thing you could try with parallel compression. Now I'm going to go a little further just by adding a little EQ here. To the vocal. I'm thinking about a couple things. I'm going to shave the low end off of the parallel compression signal, and because he's on the edge of being spitty, I've got a de-esser on him. He's just almost a two-sibilant. I'm just going to take some of that energy above 6K out of the parallel compression signal just to smooth it out a bit. Then I just took a little lump out at around 200. Feels like this now.
You came home slamming doors, slinging things around. Heaven, won't you help me? What the hell's going down? If you want.
Like so. So I'm off and running. That's a pretty good setting for parallel compression. You could explore a couple of other settings, maybe start to think about a shorter release so you get a little more energy and that sort of thing. But this is a good starting point. Now let's have a look at the kit. I'll leave this stuff in place here for right now. With the kit, what I've done is I've set up some sends from most but not all of the kit tracks to a bus called Kit Fat, and I'm picking up that bus Kit Fat here in this aux track, and I've got a similar kind of thing going on here, except this time I have a different compressor, the BF76. This is an emulation of a very famous compressor called the 1176, and pretty good choice for doing these kinds of things. And right now I just have a good bit of compression going on. Again, 10 to 15 dB is a good place to start. Nice fast attack, long release here. Like so, and actually from the start of the song. And again, you can think about things you might do with a little EQ. For example, if I just wanted to get a little more bite out of the drums, but not quite so much boom low end, I might actually just shave off some bottom end from this whole setup. Like so, and it might be a little loud. I'd probably bring that down a little bit, that sort of thing. Or you could go the other way if you want. You can actually make it a little more noticeable, and part of the fun is to start to explore shorter release times, especially with drums. But I'm also going to try something else here. The 1176 was famous for this button assembly where you could push in all 4 buttons, and if you got it just right, they'd all go in and you get a pretty aggressive kind of compression. And you can emulate that here just by shift-clicking on one of the buttons. And this is, if you will, all buttons in mode. And then I'm actually going to play with a faster release and just go ahead and let the thing start to pump a little bit audibly. And I'm just going to solo it so we can hear it by itself and just see what it sounds like. Now let's add it to the drums and see what it feels like. And like so, and it's starting to give the drums a little bit of character. The compression, it's somewhat audible. It's sort of pumping around a bit, but that, that can be kind of fun to have in the mix, if you want that. If not, you might slow up that release time again and go with something a little more benign. It's really sort of, it depends on what you're looking for. And then, you can even think about other things you can do with EQ. One of the classic things to do with parallel compression on drums is something like this, where you lift the top and bottom end after the compressor to kind of overdo them and again get a little more of a obvious kind of thing happening. I have it turned down pretty low for right now. Let's see what it feels like. Like so. And so these are the kinds of things you can come up with a bit of parallel compression for the kit, this more obvious aggressive sound, or, the thing we started with which was, with a longer release time, just a little more subtle, and maybe just 12 to 1, 8 to 1, something like that. Now for the bass guitar, I've got maybe another idea here, something I might try. Here's the bass guitar. First of all, just by itself from the start of the song, he sounds like this. And I'm already trying to help him with a little EQ and a bit of compression, but he's still kind of vague and he's a little bit murky sounding. And I'm going to see if I can help him in terms of bringing out a little more attack and maybe have a little more dirt to the sound. And so here I've got also a send to a bus called Bass Fat. I'm picking it up here. And in this case, first thing I did was just EQ it to take out the bottom and top. So it's really just a bandpass filter, if you will, centered around that mid-range area where basses speak so well. And then I'm following that up with a bit of parallel compression, and I'll start with a nice long release. So let's listen to what area of the bass guitar we're going to be parallel compressing. It's that stuff there. And then with a bit of parallel compression, again, fast attack, slow release. Like so. And then the idea is we'll just blend it in gently underneath the original bass guitar and give them a little more bite, a little more, just a little more edge. And then from here, if I wanted to, I could again maybe explore somewhat shorter release time so that it just pops a little more. And it's a bit too loud. I turn it down a little bit, but this is the idea. So in context, this is what it might feel like. And he just steps forward just a little bit in the mix, and we can just understand a couple more of his notes and that sort of thing. So these are a few ideas to think about and explore with parallel compression.